Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in again. I've been proactively avoiding this subject, not to give it any more power than it already has. But let's talk about AI. AI, right now, it is being pictured as the panacea, as the silver bullet to everything, as a foundational change in society that's gonna replace all software engineers and information workers. And it's gonna eradicate artists. It's gonna eradicate way too many jobs. And I want to talk to you about it because my humble opinion is that the AI pandemonium that we're currently in is just grossly overblown. Now, of course, what do I know? I'm just some Mexican asshole, an affirmative action hire. I didn't go to a nice school. I don't have a PhD in AI, but I will tell you this. As we speak right now, I am now 35. I am an old fart. I have grown through way too many hype cycles in the technology industry. I grew up through Web 2.0, smartphones, cloud, Web3, crypto, blockchain, AR, VR, the metaverse, and now the current cycle is AI. What I can tell you is that most of the hype in the previous cycles was effectively just that, hype. Mostly fueled by economic speculation, and in the 2010s, fueled by the zero interest rate policy phenomenon that we saw. Microservices was another fad that I'm glad that it's finally dead, because monoliths are just better. I mean, for some things, microservices may be better, but I digress. Effectively, if somebody's trying to sell you on something that's gonna radically change everything, I hope that you realize that they're effectively salespeople. They're trying to get you to buy something. And that's what's happening to AI right now. This doesn't mean that AI is not useful or that it doesn't have a place to be. AI shines best as a domain-specific tool in constrained domains. Is it good at removing things in Photoshop? Of course it is. But there's this notion in the collective unconscious that AI is going to become the new god of sorts, that is going to become the techno mummy that's going to give everyone everything they ever needed or wanted, and that it will eradicate suffering and it will erode away all of the roughness among the people, and it will lead us to the singularity. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the AI is sentient. AI doesn't feel. AI doesn't reason, and there will be no AGI. Is this maybe the gut reaction of somebody who, because events in the AI space are happening almost daily at this point, and is it maybe just me reacting to change or being scared, even though the only thing to fear is fear itself? I don't know. I want to urge people again not to get ahead of themselves with the whole AI thing. Let's think about the Apple case. Apple, a trillionaire company, a company with trillions, was not able to make AI work. Apple Intelligence is there on the water. What happened there? What are the features that it has? Summarizing notifications, rewriting emails, generating pictures, generating emojis. Apple Intelligence fails to answer the question of the why. Why will I care about any of that beyond those features being mere novelties? Why do I need somebody to rewrite my emails when I've been perfectly able to get by for the past 20 or so years with the tools that I already had and that I've had since 2006? Why do I need a neural network to do my thinking for me? Let me offer you another example. I was cleaning up some of my deployments for the home lab with Kubernetes, because I ended up in a situation where I had to make manual adjustments to the Plex deployment. So I was wondering how to inject a PVC to be mounted on the containers automatically. So I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT took me through this whole wild goose chase where there were things that it will suggest to do, such as adding volume mounts or volumes under the values, and it wouldn't work. So AI tends to pull things out of its ass, things that seem correct but may not necessarily be correct. They even have a disclaimer in ChatGPT that it makes mistakes, and I'm perfectly aware of that. But then, if this is a tool that only gets things right around half of the time, why will I ever use it? I'm just gonna learn to not rely on it. After several different tries, I finally got a working answer, and it was a lot simpler than I imagined. Under the persistence key, you have to add objects named after whatever mount you actually need to have on the containers, and the Helm chart will actually create them for you. But this is just not efficient to have to go on all of these wild goose chase. A part of me is also cynical of the fact that if there's no other conduit online to get information other than to talk to a robot, then who controls the robot? Who teaches it a narrative, and for what purpose? And it feels incredibly regressive in a way. If you notice, it's nigh close to impossible to actually search for things on Google anymore. Sometimes I make searches on Bing that actually yield results that are useful, and if I search for the exact same thing on Google, I get nothing, because they're trying to push me to go and ask Gemini or to go and ask ChatGPT, right? And here I will insist you should play Metal Gear Solid 2 to see how all of this is part of the narrative. Besides that, they're not inherently any different than something like Envato or Fiverr. They're ways to get a lot of slop on the cheap. And is that something that you can capitalize on? Maybe in a way. Maybe you can leverage it to produce very simplistic unit tests. Maybe you can generate pictures for whatever reason you want. But is it going to radically create new ideas and new concepts? I don't think so. LLM-based AIs are statistically powered tools that infer and extrapolate patterns based on the data that you feed them. They're bullshit generators with memory. I reiterate that I'm not a Luddite. I don't oppose progress, and I may be proven completely wrong in the coming months. But the way I see it, this is just the current technological drift. Let me know what you think about this, and whatever you are, keep going. That's my only advice to you. Thank you so much for listening in, and have a good day.